are listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, and I've got two of my favorite people in the building. Well, on the airwaves. Well, y'all get what I'm saying. Joshua Zeke Thomas, the son of NBA Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas, internationally renowned DJ and activist. He joins us along with Germar Reed. He is the co-founder and managing partner over at District Analyst. We always like to think of him as our resident data justice contributor. And he is also a distinguished Marine veteran. They both join us in their summer wear. I mean, my goodness, where's my salmon? You know, it's good to see you both.
Great to be here as well.
Excellent. Well, we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to get into, and so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Listen, we know that there is a lot happening, including this president who seems to be obsessed with making shockwaves across the media. Let's start there. Donald Trump, Stephen A. Smith, Madison Square Garden, Game 3 of the NBA Finals, and somebody is calling somebody low IQ. Here's what happened. Stephen A. said that he would blame Trump if the Knicks lost. The Knicks lost. Trump, heading back to Washington, told reporters, Stephen A., he's a nice guy, but, and I quote, you need a certain aptitude to run for president. You need a high IQ. I'm not sure that Stephen has that. Two things. One, the man was booed at Madison Square Garden and then claimed that it was mostly cheers. And he literally heard thousands of New York fans booing him and said it was applause. And he's talking about somebody else's aptitude. Two, Mother Jones went through Trump's social posts and found that he's used the phrase low IQ at least 50 times. 60% of those uses were directed at, that's right, you guessed it, Black or brown people. This is not a coincidence. It's a habit. It's a pattern. It's a feature, not a bug. Stephen A. fired back on First Take this morning, standing in front of a podium with an American flag like he was already given the State of the Union, and said, and I quote, I could put my IQ against yours any day of the week. I got something even better. I could ask you why you've been running from me for the past year since I asked you to talk to me. I could ask you to debate me. Now, Joshua, Germar, what are we doing here? Is this the discourse that we deserve? And most importantly, why does a sitting president attend an NBA final game, lock down 12 blocks of Midtown Manhattan, cancel watch parties outside the arena, and then act shocked when the home crowd boos him? Zeke, make it make sense.
So I actually am going to agree with President Trump. I don't think Stephen A. should run for president. I also do not believe that he is a low IQ individual. However, that is language that has been used against us, as you just pointed out, since the dawn of time. However, Stephen A. Smith has no business playing in the political realm. He has shown he has no aptitude to even learn that, Supreme Court justices have to be nominated. Nominated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you don't get to vote for those. You don't get to vote for those. So Stephen A., definitely needs a civics lesson before he steps into the arena. But, about the Knicks and the hoopla around the city, you know what? The president wanted to come to the game. He came to the game. I'd rather him come to the game than, this archaic cage fight that we got going on at the White House. That's something different.
That's right. It's something different. And I don't know. Germar, tell
Now
me.
he wasn't my guest. Don't get mad at me. He wasn't my guest.
I know he wouldn't have made it to your guest list, but
He wasn't
Jamar,
my guest. Don't get mad at me, y'all.
Jamar, make this make sense. Do
And
you
you know
see
what?
what we don't see?
I don't think I can make it make sense. What I'm gonna say is that, you know, it's Trump doing what he's normally what he's done before, which is make himself the center of all things and to gather media and to gather the attention anytime he can. And this is just another example of that. So I mean, and again, and also I'm gonna agree with Zeke on this one here and say that and go with that Stephen A. Smith should not be entering the ring as a candidate. But I would love to see him have that conversation with President Trump. I would love to see that conversation. I'd love to see.
But would we have an honest conversation?
Well, that's exactly what Zeke. I'm with you on that.
Stephen A. and Trump, like I would feel like they would have like a conversation before the thing. Like it'd be like, all right, Donald, you know, you do this, I'm gonna do this, and then I will dap up after the thing. Like I feel like it would be like a show. I don't know if you can trust him. I don't know. Like Stephen A. and Trump gotta they got a thing going on.
I'm gonna agree with you.
Like a thing like Mr. and Mrs. Jones, a thing going on like that.
Yeah,
Mr. DJ,
exactly. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is happening.
It's something strange. I mean, look, I remember during White House Correspondence, I was hanging out in the lobby in Georgetown at a hotel, and Stephen A. Smith was right there in the mix. It was real thick, you know, with Trump administration people and Republicans. And so, you know, Stephen A., he's trying to tap into the Trump world in some way, shape, or form. You know, who knows?
Well, it looks like he made MAGA mad. He lost the culture, and now he's made MAGA mad. You know, because you can't mess with Donald, and now you know he's barking at you, calling you a low IQ, you know, whatever. And so now MAGA ain't gonna mess with you. The culture already is like, Stephen A., come on, man. So now he's losing his, what do we call that? The base?
Yeah,
the base gone.
Well, he better go holler at Candace Owens and Kanye and, you know, all the folks who've been playing footsie with Trump, only to find that their foot is missing. Right. Just saying. I ain't gonna call him Kunta, but I'm just saying their foot is missing.
That is a good point.
Moving along. Listen. The United States has launched a military strike against Iran. This is, you know, a story that feels like it just has no end. Here's what we know right now. Yesterday, Iran shot down a U.S. Army Apache helicopter in the Strait of Hormuz. Both pilots were rescued safely, thank goodness, by a Navy surface drone. This afternoon, U.S. Central Command said, and I'm quoting, forces began launching self-defense strikes against Iran about 5 p.m. Eastern at the commander-in-chief's direction. The mission is a proportional response to unjustified Iranian aggression. Iran has reportedly responded with missiles and drones towards U.S. targets in the region. Now, Trump told the Wall Street Journal just this morning that the helicopter incident wasn't a big deal and then ordered strikes. We are in an active military conflict. As you both know, the Strait of Hormuz, effectively closed by Iran since the start of the conflict, is vital for global oil supply. We know that gas prices are already up here in Hollywood, you know, almost $8 a gallon here. This is going to escalate that conversation. Germar, we have a World Cup starting on Friday. We have an economy where people are already stretched, and we have bombs dropping. Talk to us about what this moment means, particularly pulling on your experience as a Marine veteran.
I mean, first of all, I'm going to say that just hearing that the president would refer to it as no big deal, that hits home. Anytime that you have military personnel in harm's way and shot out of the air and having to be rescued, that's not something that I would refer to as no big deal. It's a big deal to the families that are waiting for those soldiers and sailors to return home. It's a big deal to veterans like myself that think about the times that we would put our lives on the line, and to hear the commander-in-chief refer to it as no big deal. To me, that's a big deal, and I find it highly disrespectful. The other thing I think about is we are, he continues to make points about the economy improving under his administration. He keeps pointing to the stock market and the improvements in the stock market. But what I see, as you just mentioned, and I didn't know that until you said this, $8 a gallon gasoline. Mm-hmm. And you have families that are attempting to get back and forth to work. Many folks don't have the luxury of being able to work from home. They have to get on the road. They have to get on the highways and pay that $8 per gallon, or whatever that price may be from state to state. They have to pay that in order to make their living, to get their children back and forth to school. And I mean, to me, that's a big deal. And the last thing I'll say also, in addition, I'm reading in articles connected to this that folks are now resorting to, averaging out at 10 gallons per fill up. So rather than filling up their tanks, which is something that we would typically do, folks are making hard decisions at the gas pump, and that's all connected to decisions that are being made by our elected officials that are not acting in our best interest, that to me seem to be acting in their political interest, and to me, again, shame on the president for his statements, and shame on the president for the way that he is approaching the economy that is affecting the folks that put him in office. So,
Zeke, are we paying close enough attention to this? I mean, we are. I think today marks the 100th day that we've been at war with Iran. Are the American people, are we too lax about this war that is afoot in Iran? Are we too lax about the almost $8 a gallon gas prices? I mean, why haven't people, simply taken to the streets yet?
Well, I definitely see, people in the streets, and people have been in the streets, and people have definitely, tried to move the movement and make a change. The economy can look fine on paper, but quietly, people are making smaller and smaller choices every day with their budget. It's just getting shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And my main thing as regards to the helicopter is there's a difference between strength and recklessness. Strength is knowing when not to make this situation bigger. And the conflict just seems to keep growing and growing and growing. And this president of peace, we haven't seen that.
We ain't seen no president of peace. We ain't seen no prince of peace. We ain't seen any of that yet. But look, we can continue to demand it. And when we come forward, we are digging a little bit deeper because apparently one crisis at a time is not how 2026 works. Trump is ramping up claims of election fraud right here in California. Experts, including election law scholars, are calling it fabricated. They're calling it invented. They're calling it made up. The California primary just happened. And before the results are even fully counted, the president of the United States is seeding doubt about their legitimacy, not based on evidence, not based on a single credible report of fraud, just alleging it, because that's what he does. We're going to dig deeper into that when we come forward, but I want to put a pin in this. When you spend years calling elections fraudulent without evidence, you've not just been playing politics, you're dismantling the infrastructure of democracy one press conference at a time. More with Joshua Zeke Thomas and Germar Reed when we come forward. We're getting into surveillance, your face, the cops. Don't touch the dial. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, and always excited to be in conversation with my friend and brother, Germar Reed. Germar is managing partner of District Analyst. I think of him as our data justice contributor here. And we're also joined with my friend Joshua Zeke Thomas. He's an activist and internationally renowned DJ. He's also the son of NBA Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas. And what I love about this is we get to take some of the conversations we have off air and bring them to the people right here on air. Welcome to both of you.
Glad to be here again, Dr. Nee.
And so, look, we're going full Black Mirror this segment, apparently, because this is real and it's happening. ICE is planning to give more than 1,000 local police departments access to a facial recognition app. You walk down the street, a cop points their phone at your face. The app scans you against a database of hundreds of millions of images and tells the officer your immigration status, all in seconds. Now, the app is called Mobile Identify. ICE already has a version of it that it uses, Mobile Fortify, which has already been used more than 200,000 times on American streets. ICE's own position is that people cannot refuse to be scanned. Yeah, you can't refuse to have your face scanned by law enforcement. That's what they think. On a public sidewalk, without a warrant, without probable cause, without anything but a cop with a phone. Now, the ACLU called this an embarrassingly cursory plan that utterly fails to acknowledge the harms. Those harms include this: facial recognition technology. It's been documented to misidentify, that's right, you guessed it, Black and brown people at dramatically higher rates than white people. We're not talking about minor errors. We're talking about systems that have sent innocent people to jail. And now ICE wants local cops, 1,000 plus agencies to have this technology, not federal agents, local police. This one who, and these are the folks who already have their own issues with racial bias and enforcement. We know that. Here in LA, the Street Lighting Bureau is pushing to install license plate readers across the city, surveillance at every intersection, with questions about how that data gets shared, including potentially with the federal government. And so the question I keep asking, at what point does this stop being immigration enforcement and start being a surveillance state? And who decides which communities get watched more closely? Germar, kick us off.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about a president that the Republican Party holds in high regard. And that president says something about government is not the solution for your problem and calling for less government. But this feels like more government. And it's coming from an administration that holds that president in high regard to and this looks like more government. And the question I ask is, where are they referencing this facial recognition against? Like, are they pulling this? I'd imagine they're pulling it from other databases that we have signed into as we're coming and going from the country, as we're heading through the airport. These are all systems that we did not agree to enter our information into. Now it's being synced, in my opinion, and being used across platforms and across agencies. And that right there, that worries me. And I'd imagine that there are also some there are some commercial interests in here as well. And that information may not even be just contained within the government. So what other private organizations have access to this information? So, I mean, this is not something that I'm excited about. I'm in data every day. I'm looking at how we use data to fulfill the needs and oftentimes we have to work within very strict guidelines around how we use people's data because it's something that's been entrusted to us. And in this situation, I see it being used Again, what are they using to reference this data? And in my opinion, somewhere along the line, our picture has been taken and scanned, and it's being used now not to help us, but to hurt us.
I mean, Zeke, even as I hear Germar sort of lay that out, this is potentially very terrifying, that folks could take our images, our likeness, and who knows what their motivations are. I mean, we live in the era of deep fakes. I think there's a platform that Elon Musk owns where essentially they can take a photograph of us clothed and create a deep fake of us in the raw and, wreak havoc on people's lives, and so, what is it going to take in order for people to really revolt, not just push back a little bit, to revolt at the use of these technologies by local police across the country?
This is terrifying. Absolutely. It's terrifying because, as you said, it turns everyday policing into immigration enforcement. And technology does make mistakes. And when technology makes mistakes, people don't get an apology first. They get detained first. They get processed first. They get put in jail first. And God forbid they get shot and killed first. There are things that, as a society, we do need to take accountability for and definitely rise up against. We definitely have allowed big tech to reign free and do whatever they want, unapologetically, unchallenged. There are no guardrails. And we're now here at a place where you can say, oh, this technological tool can be good. It can do this, it can do that. But the good that it's doing, again, is at the demise of social norms that we have known since the 60s, since the civil rights movement.
Yeah. Look, Germar, I know that you have children yourself, and I'm curious as to how do you think about this as a parent? I mean, I remember a time when we were kids, where you had programs like the DARE program, right? And I remember PSAs on TV, where you saw police officers, that were supposedly officer friendly, helping to save cats and dogs and out of trees, that sort of thing. We are so far from, that paradigm of thinking when it comes to good police officers. Does this technology potentially create a warranted suspicion among the people when it comes to interacting with law enforcement? And doesn't that fundamentally make the people and officers a little less safe?
Absolutely. And I'm going to say that as you were speaking about that, I'm thinking about the fact that while walking my daughter to school this week, a couple of times this week, we've had ICE agents on the corner in the route to dropping my daughter off. And thank God for the brave teachers and the parents and the family members that get out in front of those schools and protect those children and protect those families as again, young children in elementary school are trying to get an education. And even for those students that may not be the ones and the families that the ICE agents may not be after, this is I'll tell you, I had to explain to my daughter this week what ICE was. I had to walk through, because she could see that there were police officers and she knew that they were police officers standing and not there to help, but there to harm and to take away. And I had to have that conversation with my 8-year-old daughter. And this, again, to your point, in the 80s and the 90s, an officer helping and being there to help. And today we're having conversations around, maybe even having to distinguish between officers that are there to help versus officers that may be there to do harm. And and again, I'm not the only parent having to have those conversations. I'm not the only parent having to walk their child past ICE agents, posted outside of elementary schools. I'm not talking about middle schools or high schools, posted outside of elementary schools, causing, I'd say, emotional harm to children that will remember those experiences well into their adulthood. So,
yeah.
You could support public safety and still demand guardrails. Those two things are not opposites.
100% agree. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and while you're at it, make sure that you're also supporting workers. This story coming out of LA with the SoFi Stadium workers, I mean, I think this is huge, and it's one that we were celebrating earlier. The SoFi Stadium workers explicitly negotiated the right to strike if ICE shows up at their workplace. That's not an accident. That's people understanding exactly how pervasive this surveillance infrastructure has become, and it's not just fighting for wages; they're fighting for safety, for the right to go to work without being scanned and detained. This is the America that we're living in right now, and we need to say that out loud. Zeke, what say you about what these workers have accomplished just days before the World Cup?
What's exciting is we went from the conversation of almost referencing and toning down that people aren't in the streets, protesting, making noise. And here you have a union of workers standing up, making noise for ICE to not come to their place of business. These little things, these little wins that we're able to keep racking up, they do matter. And I'm thankful that they did it, that they passed through, and hopefully other places will follow suit.
Look, I'm with you. This is major, and I think sometimes we get so caught up in the headlines. We get so lost in the headlines, and it feels like nothing really matters. It feels like the will of some pretty dark forces out there is inevitable, and I think they want us to think that. They want us to feel powerless, and so part of the reason why I really wanted to lift this story up around SoFi Stadium is to remind people of our own agency, to remind folks of our own power. When we come forward, we're talking about how Americans are adjusting their spending as costs soar because the economy was already complicated before today's strike on Iran. That conversation coming up next. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 15. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. Before we hop into our remaining minutes with our guests, Joshua Zeke Thomas and Germar Reed, a little bit of breaking news here in California. It is official. Javier Becerra has moved to the brink of the California governorship after Tom Steyer was eliminated from the race today instead of running against Democrat Becerra. A Democrat, Becerra, is going to face off against Republican Steve Hilton in November. A lot of folks believe this is going to give Javier Becerra a clear path to victory in this heavily Democratic state, positioning him potentially as California's first Latino governor in modern history. It is official. Tom Steyer is out. A lot of folks have been waiting to see, is Tom Steyer going to catch up in the vote count? It doesn't appear to be the case. Politico, ABC News, a lot of sources are reporting that Javier Becerra and Steve Hilton are the top two vote getters for California governor, and they will face off in November. Any immediate reaction to that, Zeke? I know you've been following the California governor's race from afar. I'm curious as to folks outside of California, and both of you are outside of California. What do you make of this, Zeke?
As somebody outside of California on the other coast, I was a light fan of Tom Steyer's attempts at, the presidency and into foray into politics. Seems like he cares about his country but cannot get elected. So let's go, Javier.
Wow. Say it plain. Tell me what you really think, Zeke. Tell me what you really think. Germar, what do you make of it?
No, I mean, it's interesting to have this breaking news. I know it was something that folks in California have been, and not just California, but folks across the United States have been paying close attention to. And I think not just for Californians, but also for other races that will be happening in the as we go into the end of this year and then into 2028. So definitely looking forward to kind of sinking my teeth into the information coming out after this announcement. But yeah, so looking forward to looking into this a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of folks have been on the edge of their seat, trying to get a sense of what's happening and where this is going. Now, on to our final story today. We got a story coming out about everyday Americans now reporting significantly adjusting their spending habits as the cost of living continues to rise. We're talking about people cutting back on groceries and delaying major purchases, making choices about what they can and cannot afford. This is not an abstraction. This is on the grocery receipt, as they say. And now with strikes on Iran today and an escalating conflict in the Strait of Hormuz, gas prices, which were already elevated, could go higher. The Strait of Hormuz carries, again, about 20% of the world's oil. And when that's unstable, you feel it at the pump. You feel it at any purchase that you have that requires energy. And so, gentlemen, when we talk about the economy, we talk about the numbers, whether you're talking about GDP, inflation, federal policy, how do we make sure that this conversation actually reaches the people that are living these numbers? Because sometimes I feel like we're talking over people's heads and not talking directly to people's hearts. Germar?
Yeah, just very quickly, I'll call out that as folks start to spend less money at the gas pump, folks start to spend less money in the grocery store, making hard decisions. I think about the fact that affects jobs directly. It affects retail jobs because those folks that are working for companies and organizations that see a decline in retail spending, I mean, it leads to layoffs, which lead to folks having to make tough decisions and it becomes cyclical. And for a president that promised to be someone that engages the economy and grows the economy, it's the exact opposite of what was promised.
Zeke, I'm going to give you the final word here in about a minute. Go.
A lot of people are spending more just to live the same life that they had last year. And that's not the American dream. Again, like Germar said, that's not what President Trump promised, and that is not the direction that the country seems to be headed. It's sad that we have to keep on telling people to grab your bootstraps and, deal with it. You'll be all right. Take one for the team. Do it for America. We got to stop doing it for America. When we gonna get some reparations, Dr. D?
Well, when we all get better at using our Yosemite Sam voice like you just used.
Can I get a meal voucher? Can I get my parking validated? You know what I mean?
Can you teach me that Yosemite Sam impression? I'm just asking questions that need answers. We're not going to be able to get those today, but my thanks to Germar Reed and Joshua, Zeke, Thomas. I love having y'all on. This is great. We need to have you on more often. I love it, love it, love it. When we come forward, look, we're shifting gears. Nick Reiner is asking for his parents' trust fund to pay for the defense in their murder case. Yes, really. Plus, filmmaker Nick Davis joins us to talk about This Ordinary Thing. It's a documentary about Holocaust rescuers that feels remarkably relevant right now. And Republicans just passed a bill to fund ICE through the end of Trump's term. We're going to break all that down when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.